Okay team, so that's what we had for liquidity consumption, that part 1. So let's look at part 2, or let's look at other trades taken based on liquidity consumption. So we have now this trade on gold, took based on liquidity consumption. Let me first delete. So now there's something I also want to discuss here. Most of the time whenever price performs a shift point, price performs shift points inside out this area. So price performs a shift and comes a bit to test that area of liquidity. So let's assume that price performs a shift point here, and now left this as the inside formation and left and form the outside formation. So price form the outside formation, which is also this, but the outside formation, it approaches this inside formation a bit of it and it leaves a minor wick. It leaves a minor wick. So now we have both the inside and outside formation, but the outside formation, it a bit approached the inside formation and left a minor wick. Now this means that price showed the desire. Price showed the desire to consume that inside formation. Price showed desire to consume that inside formation. So after price showing desire to consume that inside formation, what's next? So price means that price later formed an inside formation. So if price shows the desire to consume that area of liquidity, it means that that area is having a probability of holding price, but price just showed the desire. So whenever price shows the desire to consume that area of liquidity by tapping in that inside formation a bit and then continues to, there are high chances for price to come and really consume that area of liquidity it fully by coming to consume the lowest liquidities. Remember, I told you that for a value price for an area of liquidity to be regarded or to be considered as consumed, it must be consumed at least 8 to 90% of it. But whenever price consumes an area of liquidity 50%, it means that there are high chances for price to come and reconsume that area of liquidity to 80%. So here price must consume that area of liquidity like 30%. So that's not liquidity. That's not liquidity consumption. It's not liquidity consumption. It means that the price must come to consume this area of liquidity 90 or 80, let's say 85% of it. So it means that price, whenever price shows the desire to consume that area by tapping it a bit, it means there are high chances for price to come and consume the lowest liquidities. So what you're going to do before considering to use the outside formation, first come to check if this inside formation is having a fresh liquidity engineering in it, and most of the time it may be having a liquidity flip in it. So that's what we call a liquidity consumption, meaning an area of liquidity must be consumed, let's say 85% of it to be considered as consumed area of liquidity. But whenever price leaves a wick in an area of liquidity and forms another formation, it means that price has showed the desire to consume that area of liquidity, meaning we have a high chance for price to go and fully consume that area of liquidity because it showed the desire to consume it. So that's also regarded as liquidity consumption. All together, it's also regarded as liquidity consumption. So let's see this example on gold. It came with from the daily time frame. Some of the trades that I took based on liquidity consumption. So now we had this as the area of liquidity available. We had this as the area of liquidity available that we had. So now I had to come and cut here. So I had to come now to the time frame that coordinates with the weekly time frame, with the daily time frame. So when I came to the daily time frame, I saw that price had performed a shift point here. Price had performed a shift point from the 1 hour time frame and left now this as the LU. It left out, it came and consumed out this formation. It was consumed, and then price formed this other outside formation. But in the state of forming an outside formation, price had this area of liquidity, which also the inside the formation. So price showed that it wanted to consume that area of liquidity. Maybe it was pulled by, so price just went on. So meaning that price has preserved this area of liquidity. Price preserved this only, or preserved its own area of liquidity. Or price has performed what we call liquidity conveying by leaving out this area of liquidity unconsumed. Okay, so price has performed liquidity conveying here. Price has performed what we call the liquidity conveying, has preserved its liquidity conveying. Okay, but before even we consider that as a liquidity conveying, has price performed a shift point? Because price must perform a shift point as price is going to come and approach this outside formation, because price must come and approach this outside formation before coming now to that area of liquidity. Okay, this was the outside formation that we had. So you can actually see price came and tested it, So remember, price had performed a shift point above here. So but before even having that, you can actually see most of these areas price performed that this outside formation, and formed more of the outside formation, formed this. It was also fresh outside formation. It was also a fresh outside formation which price tried to come on consume it. But this area of liquidity, price also performed this, which price came and fully consumed. You can clearly see this was the area of liquidity that price came and fully consumed. It came and took the lowest liquidities, maybe from the 15 minute around this area. Okay, price fully consumed that area of liquidity, because now meaning that the price had now to come and test this one. It was still fresh down, but price can't come to test this when we have most the 12 here, the 2 down that are still fresh. So what price did is that price came and tested and performed a pure bullish. Price came and performed a pure bullish, or it took an entry based on this liquidity engineering, or this liquidity flip. I don't know, maybe around there, we shall see. So, and then went to continue moving up. But because now we have price has preserved its own liquidity below, price must come to consume this area of liquidity because it has been conveyed. So what I did is now I came now and marked this as the area of liquidity. Let me just remove this. I came and marked this as the visible area of liquidity, which was also a type visible area of liquidity from this area here. So I wanted to see price consume that formation because it has been conveyed. It has been conveyed. So what price did is now price came to consume the lowest liquidity, or came to consume that area of liquidity, the 85% that we always want. So I had time to mark down this area of liquidity. You can clearly see that the price wanted to come and consume this area of liquidity, which it didn't do. So meaning that the price had performed what we call the liquidity conveying. It has preserved this liquidity to be used in the near future. You can see, sorry. So price came tested, but before price coming to test that area of liquidity, remember price had come to test this outside formation here. Price had come to test that outside. Price had come to test this outside formation. You can clearly see it. And clearly see it came, tried to consume most of the liquidities inside it. But remember, price had performed a shift point above. So price had came tested that area of liquidity. But since now most of those areas didn't have enough liquidity to push price upper, price performed a shift point and then had to perform a shift point, and then price was supposed to come and trigger this area of liquidity, but because of this liquidity flip, price, or because of this liquidity flip here, let's take this, because of that liquidity flip, price came tested it, then got the momentum to come and seek for the lowest liquidities, because that area has been preserved, or liquidity conveying has been done. So price came trigger that level. You can actually see that price here showed the desire to consume that area. If this area had tapped, or if this area had come inside this zone, now that area has been consumed. You can clearly see here, this was a shift point, and then the price came consumed this price. That's what we call liquidity consumption. Price came to consume that area of liquidity. Okay, even if you look at this, price performed a shift point here. So price had these areas of liquidity, price had this formation which also consumed this area of liquidity. So these two areas consumed each other, so we no longer need them. So what price is going to come and seek for the lowest liquidities, because the price has also performed a shift point here. Can you guys see? Because these two areas consumed each other, so price must come to look for the, or to seek for the lowest liquidity. But when you look closely here, we also have this liquidity engineering that was available from that zone there. But even if I could consider this as my shift point, because now that was also a shift point, so price had this week. This can also be considered as an area of liquidity because of the inability, or because of the structure. But you can also come and take this as the reactive liquidity engineering. On refinement, you can take this as the area of liquidity from this assessment from the area of liquidity from the 15 minutes. So that's how we read liquidity consumption. So price came, triggered that transformation from the 1 hour time frame, from the 15-minute time frame, and then price moved long way, because price had to come and seek for the lowest liquidities, and then price had to move. So there's also another entry I took based on liquidity consumption. So let me even show you here. So after price consumed that area of liquidity, price performed another shift point, which was actually here. Okay, so most of the people would, or even me, I would actually come and mark this as the available inside the formation here, which is the one that I would come to mark. But if you can clearly see, this outside the formation is having this. Also, this was a formation down. This was also a formation down that wasn't fully consumed. You can tell that price showed the desire to consume it, but it didn't fully consume it. It didn't fully consume it. So what we had to do is now to come and see if price can come to consume this area of liquidity, because they will be let me first show you something. So you can actually see price try to come and consume now this area of liquidity. You can actually price try to come and consume this area of liquidity, but remember, price had performed a shift point from the daily time frame. Now this means that price has conveyed the liquidity. Price has preserved this lowest liquidity from this area of liquidity. Tap this area. So how do you see that price has conveyed the liquidity? By price performing another shift point. Okay, so when price performed another shift point, you have now to come to the 1 hour time frame. Okay, the 1 hour time frame, and look for. So we had this liquidity flip here. We had that liquidity flip available there that can hold the buys, that can hold the sales, but we also had this formation here that was also still fresh. We also had this inside the area here that could also hold price. You can actually see price came and tested now this formation here. Came and tested this formation. Tested this formation because we had a liquidity flip inside. I don't want to go deep in. I would have time to explain that. Had liquidity flip inside this area around this zone, maybe from the 15-minute, because it was a buy. So price came, performed an area of liquidity, and then came. You can see price try to consume that area of liquidity. But on the 1 hour time frame, you can actually see that price had performed a shift point down here. Okay, so now this was the fresh area of liquidity from there. You can see the fresh area of liquidity from the 1 hour time frame. So when you come back to the daily time frame, you can actually see that where price had showed a desire. Okay, you can actually see why didn't it come here. Okay, so this was the area of liquidity from the 1 hour time frame. So price had to come and fully consume this, or perform the full liquidity consumption of it. Are we together? Let me just mark it. Of it from the daily time from that 11, because price showed desire to consume it, but didn't fully consume it. When I say price consuming the 85% of price must, because here price consume this like 35% or 40%, but for price to come to regard that as the area of liquidity that has been fully consumed, price must come to seek for the lowest liquidities and consume it at least 80%, maybe around that area. around that area there. You can actually see, oh sorry. So we had now to come now to the 1 hour time frame and see the areas of liquidity available. So we had now to abandon that. For us to get the best moves, we had to abandon that and then have to mark this as the available area of liquidity. So price had performed a shift point and left us with that this area of liquidity. So there are high chances for price, to come and take this liquidity engineering from this area, or this liquidity engineering also can also hold the price. Okay, so long as we are going to keep our stop loss below that area there. So price had to come and seek for the lowest liquidity or consume an area liquidity. You can actually see price came, tested that liquidity engineering that we had marked from the 1 hour time frame, which was here, came, tested it. You can actually do more refinements from the 15 minutes so that we can know how we always do it. We always get those sniper entries. Let's assume that we are, let me go the 15 minute. So we had to come and mark this as liquidity engineering available. So price came, tapped on that level and fully consumes that area of liquidity. We know now price has performed the full liquidity consumption. So price now we have to hold our positions with, we have to hold our positions. We can risk a few pips and then hold our setup with risky management. So that's when we saw that the area of liquidity has been fully consumed. So that's what we regard as liquidity consumption. Still dropping more videos about liquidity consumption.